All right, let's just dive right into this explainer. We're skipping all that slow meta commentary today and jumping straight into the action, because we've got a seriously fascinating dual narrative to unpack. We're going to explore the absolute shortest war in human history, and at the exact same time, we're going to break down how you'd actually animate this story into a viral, highly retained explainer.
38. That's it. That is the exact number of minutes the Anglo-Zanzibar War lasted. And by dropping this number right out of the gate, we're immediately hitting that crucial 15-second cliff. You know, that make-or-break moment where audience retention absolutely plummets if you don't deliver value. This number right here, it acts as our pattern interrupt, grabbing your attention instantly. Which brings us to the ultimate question. How do you lose a war before your coffee even gets cold? This right here is our payoff promise. We're going to learn the completely absurd history of this 1896 conflict, and at the exact same time, we're going to reverse engineer how to animate it into a viral, oversimplified style explainer. So you're getting compelling history and top-tier digital storytelling strategy all rolled into one.
Section 1. Mapping the historical context.
Okay, so to set the scene for this late 19th century colonial clash, which happened right during the intense scramble for Africa between Britain and Germany, we absolutely need a map. And in DaVinci Resolve's Fusion page, you can literally just draw polygon borders, add a thick polyline stroke for the edges, and paint some faint shadows underneath to give it some pop. It's incredibly simple, yet it's highly effective for placing our Sultanate of Zanzibar right off the East African coast without, overwhelming the viewer with a ton of geographic clutter.
Now, under British protectorate rules established back in an 1890 treaty, any potential successor to the Zanzibar throne actually needed British approval. And boom, this perfectly establishes our story's inciting incident. It's the geopolitical trap that basically sets everything in motion for the conflict to come.
Section 2. Animating stick figure armies.
Now, you might be wondering, why on earth would we use simple stick figures instead of hyper-realistic details for our armies? Well, human psychology actually connects way better with simple, familiar shapes. It lets the viewer project their own emotion right onto the character. To bring these little guys to life efficiently, you really need the right software stack for churning out these fast-paced history explainers. We're talking Adobe Illustrator for clean vector art, DaVinci Resolve's Fusion nodes for custom movements, or even Adobe Express for fast, pre-built character animations.
So, how exactly do we build our rebel? Well, to rig our stick figure of Sultan Khalid bin Bargash, you just draw his parts in 4K resolution, set the pivot points right at the neck for realistic head turns, and keyframe the movements while adding just a touch of motion blur. And Khalid? He's the rogue nephew who, on August 25, 1896, seized the throne following the sudden death of the previous sultan, basically completely skipping that British approval step we just talked about.
The juxtaposition here is just wow. It's stark. On one side, you have the British Royal Navy with 5 modern warships, commanded by Rear Admiral Harry Rawson. On the other, Khalid's forces. That's about 2,800 locals, some palace guards, and a navy consisting of literally a single wooden luxury yacht called the HHS Glasgow. I mean, this extreme comedic juxtaposition of scale perfectly sets up the visual humor and the inevitable outcome of our narrative.
Section 3. The 38-Minute War.
So, to build tension for a battle that was effectively over before it even began, we need to rapidly follow this timeline. On August 25th, the Sultan dies and Khalid barricades himself in the palace. By the 26th, British naval reinforcements arrive right in the harbor. The British issue an ultimatum for Khalid to step down, which he blatantly ignores. He actually keeps his limited artillery pointed directly at the modern warships. The tension peaks at 9 a.m. on August 27th, and incredibly, by 9:38 a.m., the entire war is over.
The British issue this chilling ultimatum: stand down or face Royal Navy fire. In our explainer's script structure, reading this ultimatum right before it expires at 9 a.m., that acts as the ultimate commitment hook. It plants that specific information gap right before the climax, pretty much ensuring the viewer stays committed to see the destruction.
Section 4. Sound design and voiceover.
Now, simple visuals just aren't enough to hold an audience, right? Sound is what actually evokes emotion and adds realism to our little stick figures once the bombardment starts at 9 a.m. Absolutely crucial audio and Foley sound design are what keep audience retention high during action sequences. We'd use layered Foley to bring those high explosive shells and all that chaos to life. And for the voices? We use AI models like ElevenLabs V3 to inject this highly expressive, almost sarcastic panic into the Zanzibari defenders as the British artillery rains down. Plus, we'd use their multilingual V2 model for the smooth, consistent, historical narration tying the whole battle together.
And well, the numbers revealed the grim, totally one-sided reality of the battle. The Zanzibaris suffered around 500 casualties, and that prized wooden royal yacht, the HSG Glasgow, instantly vaporized by the HMS St. George. The British, literally a single injured sailor. The British naval artillery just completely pulverized the Pallas and crushed the resistance in under 45 minutes.
Section 5. The Viral Aftermath. So to wrap up the historical timeline and connect the war's rapid conclusion back to our digital analytics, as the dust settled, Khalid bin Barghash actually managed to escape through a German consulate garden gate, finding sanctuary. With the rebellion definitively squashed, the British swiftly installed Hamoud bin Mohammed, a ruler fully compliant with their interests, solidifying their strategic control over Zanzibar all the way until 1963.
And there you have it. These are the exact elements of our pre-published retention playbook. We hit that 15-second payoff promise. We used a proof hook to keep you watching. We leveraged visual gags based on that crazy juxtaposition of scale between the two navies, and we utilized fast-paced stick figure animation logic. It completely proves that cutting slow meta-commentary for instant structured value is the absolute key to viewer retention.
Okay, let's end on a provocative thought here. We conquered the history of the shortest war in 38 minutes and reverse-engineered exactly how to tell that story visually. So, what 15-second hook will you write to conquer the algorithm next? I enthusiastically challenge you to apply these exact storytelling frameworks and simple animation techniques to your own creative projects and just see how effectively you can hold your audience's attention.